Hi everyone, it's St David's Day, so happy St David's Day to you all. It's March the 1st, as you can tell by my accent, I'm Welsh, and I've been busy making some Welsh cakes, and I thought I'd share the recipe with you. They are so easy, we can make them in the next 15 minutes without a problem at all. All you need, some self-raising flour, or plain flour, or purpose flour with some baking powder, some butter. I've got some caster sugar, you can use golden caster sugar or just ordinary caster sugar, and 1 egg. That is all you need. And then of course it's up to you whether you want to add apricot pieces or currants or sultanas. Today I'm going to use naughty chocolate chips because I like them. Right, so to begin, I have a recipe and it is actually 225 grams of self-raising flour and then 110 of butter, about 80 of sugar and 1 egg. But you know what, there's a much easier way. I've been weighing out and playing with measures this morning, and so if you don't have scales or you really want to use the cup measure, which is I think a bit easier, you need 1.5 cups level of self-raising flour. So I'm going to pop that in the bowl. And then you need 1/2 cup of everything else. So it can be easier, can it? 1.5 cups of self-raising flour, 1/2 cup of everything else. And so I've cubed my butter here. I'm using proper butter because I think it tastes a bit better. Margarine is fine. I often regularly do use margarine, but butter does have a slight edge. And I'm using salted butter, so I won't need to add a pinch of salt or anything else to it. If you do use unsalted butter, then add a pinch of salt. And I'm just using a fork here, just to work my way through to start the rubbing in process. If you find it difficult to rub in butter, use a pastry fork or use just the largest fork you can find in your drawer, and just keep working around like this until all the butter is incorporated. So I'm going to go and use my fingertips now to just lightly rub it in. It does take a little bit longer to rub in butter than it does to rub in margarine. But it's a lovely sunny day today. I think I've been in Borough Market twice in the past where it's sub-zero temperatures, and I can assure you rubbing butter in when it's minus something is virtually impossible. Because obviously it's the heat of our fingers here that's slightly melting the butter, not overly, but just warming that butter up slightly and allowing us to rub it in to the flour. So it'll take a couple of minutes. And all we're going to do then is sweeten this up with a bit of sugar. Golden caster is lovely, or white caster sugar is fine. Granulated tends to be a little bit coarse, but of course if you've only got granulated and you have a food processor, just whiz it in the food processor for a couple of seconds and you'll end up with fine caster sugar, and that'll do the job. Right, so we're almost there. I like these with chocolate chips. I even put raspberries in occasionally, but they do get a little bit pink with the raspberries. That's not so traditional. Right, so there's my rubbed in butter into the flour. Now my 1/2 cup of caster sugar, and I'll give that a little stir before adding my egg. Mix it in. And then I always crack my egg into a small bowl first, just in case there's any shell or if it's a rotten egg. Okay, and then again with the fork I'm just going to bring that all together, but before it all comes together as a dough, I'm going to add as many as you like. You can be as naughty as you like or as good as you like, a couple of handfuls of chocolate chips, and then just give it a stir, and this will make up to about 20 to 22 depending on the size obviously of your cutters. And then I'm going to go in with my hands. I've also got a drop of milk here just in case, so if you find that could almost come together, but I think it would be on the dry side, so I'm just going to add maybe a tablespoonful of milk just to help it to stick. If it's on the dry side, it makes it very, very difficult to roll out, so it does help just to keep an eye on it. And then we're just going to squeeze it all together. I think margarine as well, because it's slightly softer, it tends to come together a lot quicker, but when you've got little pieces of butter, it's a little bit more difficult. So just squeeze it like this. And these are great all times of the year, by the way, not just on St David's Day. Right, so let's pop that on the plate there and get rid of that. Now we're just going to squeeze what we've got here together to make a ball of dough. There we go. Okay, So that's the first step. Second step, we just need a little bit of flour on the surface. A little bit of flour on top as well. A little bit of flour on the rolling pin. Clear up a little bit. And I'm just going to gently roll, not pushing too hard, to make a nice flat piece. Now the advantage of chocolate chips is that you can't roll too flat because you'll always hit the chocolate chip layer. Can you hear that? That's the chocolate chips. So I know I've gone as thin as I can, and that is about just over 1/2 centimetre, I reckon. So it's about the right thickness. If they're too thick, they take a little bit too long to cook. And if they take too long to cook, they get a little bit dark on the outside. So I'm going for the classic circle here. I've made them in heart shapes, star shapes, you name it shapes, okay? They can be made for all occasions, but today I'm going for the classic round one. And there you have it. And I've got a griddle here. I just give my hands a little wash. This is an electric griddle, ideal for making, I can turn the screen a little bit, can you see? Ideal for making crepes or pancakes on. A big heavy frying pan would do the trick as well, okay? I say heavy because you want the heat to be fairly constant. You don't want it to get really hot and then really cold. So if you've got a heavy base pan, it tends to retain the heat really well, and then you get a far better bake, okay? This, I have to show you this. This innocent looking thing weighs a ton. I need to weigh it at some point. That is my grandmother's old plank. Cast iron, went on the Aga, on the Rayburn, and that's how they made their pancakes. So mine is effectively what I like to think of as my electric equivalent of the same. So I'm just going to go on with a little butter. And although I said I used salted butter earlier, I'm now using unsalted butter because as you make more and more of the Welsh cakes, there tends to be a bit of a build-up of butter residue on the plank, and it tends to leave a bit of a salty flavour on the outside of the Welsh cakes, which isn't unpleasant, but it's not ideal. So I go for unsalted when I pop it on the plank. And then these take about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. See if I can get a few more on there. And then you turn them over. Let's make room for one more. There we go. And that's it. It's as simple as that. And here they are, the beauties. Now I can't serve those. Let's see if I can bring a few forward for you to see. I didn't put spice in, did you notice? And a lot of people are thinking, oh, she didn't put cinnamon or nutmeg or big spice in. I tend to just add cinnamon sugar on top. That way, if you're not that keen on spices, you don't have to have them. But I do. And of course, I've got my cup of coffee ready here. All I need now is a nice little smearing of butter on top, and I'm perfectly happy. I am just enjoying myself with my cup of coffee, but they're almost ready. I'm just watching them cook a couple of minutes and then just give them a little turn. Can you see? Nice golden brown colour. Let's put that back and lift this up for you. Can you see? So we just, a nice thin spatula. It's good to get a nice thin edge so you can slide it underneath without ruining the shape. And then over they go. And then they need about the same time on the second side before you pile them up. Cover them in sugar and tuck in. There you go, easy peasy Welsh cakes with chocolate chip. Happy St David's Day.